Sonic Drift 2 on Sega's Game Gear has a two-player link cable verse mode. Released a year after the original, Sonic Drift 2 is much improved in comparison to the first game. There are more courses with more variety, more racers, and overall has more polish and higher presentation values. When linked, players can now choose between Sonic, Knuckles, Fang, Metal Sonic, Eggman, Amy, and Tails, and the ring system from the first game returns but with more usability. To use items, the player must first collect a couple of rings during a race, but they're much more plentiful now. More rings means more items, which means more action and more fun. Also, items and other hazards can be found throughout each track. The music is much improved in comparison to the original, and the first place player no longer has to awkwardly wait for player 2 to finish. Races also end with the winner's face on a spinning sign, which is much better than abruptly ending without any acknowledgement like in the original. However, even though this is a better overall game, the cumbersome menu system remains. Instead of simply picking your character, then the course, then starting, the player needs to pick a driver, back out, then pick a course, back out again, then start the match by confusingly selecting Battle. It isn't a deal breaker, but it isn't exactly the most intuitive, and like the original, the game keeps track of wins and losses. It is disappointing that the sequel is also limited to one-on-one races when in link mode, just like the original. Not having AI racers really puts the brakes on the overall fun factor, as it isn't as action-packed as it could be, even though this is an understandable hardware limitation. Plus, there's something weird when a racing game doesn't have a timer, even though it isn't necessary since you either win or lose with there being only 2 racers. There is, however, variation with each driver. Handling, speed, and acceleration all control a little differently with each driver. However, unless you really baby that brake button, you're going to be sliding off the road at every turn regardless of your driver. Perhaps the easiest way to play this linking mode for yourself is to do what I'm doing right now to record this footage. Sonic Adventure DX on GameCube includes the Sonic Game Gear games as playable unlockables. Then just hit start on a second controller to play the emulated link cable mode. Maybe one day Nintendo will include Game Gear titles to appear on their Switch Online service with mock online link cable play, just like the Game Boy Switch Online app. There's no question that Sonic Drift 2 is a better game in comparison to the original release, but this is still a watered down version of Mario Kart, a game that was released a few years before this one. However, for an underpowered handheld game, there are still some redeeming qualities, but there isn't anything must play by any means, especially when it comes to the 2-player link cable mode. But what do you think? Did you play the Sonic Drift games upon their release? Did you know about the unlockable Game Gear games in Sonic Adventure DX? And what's your favorite Sonic racing game? Let me know in the comments. And for all sorts of link cable nonsense you never knew about, see the links to my dedicated playlist in the description. Until next time, thank you for watching and game on.